But yeah, so totally the idea here, obviously tonight is Kenobi. We got that coming out in just over a month. I am super excited. Have you guys read the book at all?
The John Jack Miller one?
Yeah.
No, I've not actually.
Oh yeah,
I have. And fun fact about that, I actually got that signed by the author.
Oh, did you?
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
When did you get that signed?
Huh?
When did you get that signed?
I don't remember what year, but it was at big like Star Wars convention at I think it was like Joliet. But it was really, really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was, just doing signings and,
Yeah, he was at Celebration actually talking about it was, I can't remember, I think it was 6 or maybe it was the last Orlando, and he was actually talking about Kenobi, and they were talking about the show not long after he wrote the book. And he had a great little story about him like sitting on the floor literally on the floor at the convention floor, them just chatting about it. So I'm super excited for the show because I just kind of get this feeling that it's going to kind of have vibes of the book, even though it's not going to be the book, but just have some of those vibes to it. So
yeah,
because I got a lot of like Kenobi book vibes out of Book of Boba Fett, which I absolutely loved because it kind of had that Western feel to it, and Kenobi was kind of Star Wars Western, right? If you haven't read the book, I totally recommend it if you like Star Wars books. It's one of the better standalone Star Wars books.
Yeah. No, I it always intrigued me. I never got around to it. I kind of like I did my like deep dive of Legacy of the Force and Fate of the Jedi, like when the canon announcement happened back in the day. So I kind of like finished those series, and I kind of weaned myself off of Legends for a little while just because I knew I needed to like have the long goodbye to it, and I just kind of didn't touch Legends for the longest time. Gotcha. Not that I'm opposed now. I mean, I've started rebuying a few of the older books, but I haven't actually like dived in to start reading it yet. But that might be one to do because that's one I always meant to read back in the day and never got a chance to. So
yeah, it was one of those tail ends Legends books too. So
yeah, it was like later on. Yeah, it was like one of the last ones before it. Yeah.
So it kind of, I think that one's kind of like bridges that gap where it's like it could almost cross over, right?
Yeah,
it doesn't have like full canon, but it definitely could have some kind of carryover where I think you could get some of that feel and some of that, some of that vibe. Like I said, I think for me, Book of Boba Fett almost picked up some of the Kenobi book vibes from it and brought it into into Book of Boba Fett, right? Without spoiling anything from the Kenobi book for you. But if you read it, you'll be like, hey, wait a minute, that looks really familiar. But yeah, it was such a cool book, and I'm really kind of hoping that they capture him from the book in the show, right? That kind of that persona and that feel that he has of the and I think they got it a little bit in the trailer too with the the Jedi, right? He can't escape being a Jedi, and that's that. He's always wanting to be the Jedi. He's always, his compassion is the thing that's going to give him away as a Jedi. And, and he's always fighting, having to, he's got to protect Luke, and he can't give himself away, but he still has that desire to constantly be trying to help people. And,
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of his role in the narrative too, is the most devout. Like, he's the textbook, the template by which everyone judges what a Jedi is. He's our introduction to the Jedi in A New Hope. He's the first, Jedi who speaks in Phantom Menace. So no matter where you start, he's kind of like your entry point into the Jedi Order, in the movies anyway. So
it really is. And then you put him in Tatooine. I mean, he's going to stand out like a sore thumb in a place like that, being altruistic like that.
Yeah. Especially because, like, the last time he was on Tatooine, prior to this in Phantom Menace, he despised it.
Yeah.
And he didn't even get involved. He just stood outside the spaceship occasionally and said, I hate it here.
Yeah, Qui-Gon really did all the work there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he really did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got to be tough for him because, like I said, I mean, he's really going to stand out in a place like that if he's there just doing good things, because it's not a place where people just do good things. You know, it's
Yeah. I know we're not going to have it in the show, but I really wish there was just one moment we had him just kind of like look back on his life and go, I wish I never suggested this planet when the Queen ship hyperdrive, because he's the one who points at the screen and goes, Master, Tatooine, why don't we go to this planet? It's all downhill from there.
You never know. He might.
Qui-Gon didn't pick up that damn kid.
Could have gone to any other planet.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't see him saying, I wish Qui-Gon didn't do that, but I could see him looking back, you know, kind of in that moment of the traumatic reflection and go, if I'd only said something else.
Right. Yeah.
If I'd only picked a different planet. Yeah.
For sure.
Because that'd be a very Obi-Wan thing to do, to be, you know, to blame himself, to say, if I'd only picked a different planet in this sector, you know, or something.
I mean, the only other planet like that, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but like the only other planet close to there would have been like Geonosis. So
oh, you're right. Yeah, so he would have been messed up either way. So I guess it really doesn't matter too badly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
I don't think they would have had any help there. So
no, probably not.
No, they definitely wouldn't. And he would, you know, it would be that moment of weakness for Obi-Wan anyway, and he'd recognize it right away. But, you know, I mean, you got to figure he had his moments, right? You know, in Clone Wars, he had his moments of despair. He had his moments of, you know, so having him have those is, you know, it humanizes him.
Yeah.
Because we always see him as that model, right? Almost, and I don't want to say that model of perfection, because he's not always the model of perfection, but he is about as close as you get through Star Wars, right? As kind of that MCU like, Captain America like, right? He is that high level model of that altruism.
Usually when I hear people talk about like the perfect Jedi, you know, either like on TikTok or, you know, even when I'm like talking, you know, in real life to my buddies who like Star Wars, you know, they either bring up Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon Jinn, or Kanan Jarrus. It's either one of those three as, you know, the role model to follow as what a Jedi should be. So, you know.
And it's ironic to me too, because I might get crucified by Star Wars fans, and I know we're talking about Obi-Wan, but The Last Jedi, Luke, honestly, is the model Jedi
America type figure.
Because Luke was the one who flat out, he did exactly what Yoda specifically said. You use the Force and you're a Jedi using your power for defense only, never for attack. And that's exactly how he faced Kylo.
Yeah, it's true.
And he made it possible for Kylo to be redeemed because he didn't allow Kylo to kill him. If Kylo had killed Luke, that would have been it. He was done. He already killed his father. That would have been the end of the story right there for Kylo. But he faced him in a way that he gave Kylo one more chance, right? And he sacrificed himself while doing it. I mean, to me, that was the epitome of what a Jedi should be. You know, he kind of came back from his whole Yoda, you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah.
Self-banishment, you know, couldn't trust himself, needed to protect his family and friends and everything, and exiled himself and came back from all of that, right? And so for me, that kind of was that feel. I think Obi-Wan was about as close as you got up to that point, but I think Luke just kind of embodied the whole Jedi right in that moment, just like that.
Of course.
I mean, it was like that perfect moment.
And I also think that's an apt comparison too with Last Jedi's Luke with how we might see Obi-Wan here. You know, since they've already described, especially in like the Entertainment Weekly interview about him being faithless and kind of not broken per se, but a little bit lost of what to do, where to go. You know, outside of his, you know, just kind of watching over Luke. You know, obviously we know things are going to get bad since Inquisitors are involved, but he's been there for 10 years with nothing happening. I'm sure he's just, you know, wandering and listless and, you know, he's got some kind of gig in some mine or whatever from what we've discerned from the trailers, but he's not in a good place, you know. I know there's a very big difference between there because we as the audience are a little bit more prepared to see Obi-Wan this way because we know this is how he's been living for this 19-year period or at least 10-year period by the time the show picks up, ever since A New Hope, essentially. And, you know, with much more clarity since Revenge of the Sith, we kind of know that, you know, story point is happening where it was a very big surprise for people in The Last Jedi, you know? So I think it'll be very interesting to see like those characters at these particular points in their lives are probably going to end up being very similar. But I do predict the audience taking it very differently based on how it's presented to them, you know?
Right. Because you got a different context. Right.
Course,
you got to
absolutely.
see a lot of what happened to Obi-Wan going up to this point, and he's there protecting Luke.
Yes, exactly.
Right. He had a very specific mission. Right. For me, I saw Luke as he fell prey to his anger yet again. You know, he had those moments. Luke had moments of weakness all the way through. Right. It's a typical Skywalker trait that you saw in everybody but Leia.
Yes. Yeah.
Where he needed to protect his family in his mind. At least that's how I saw him. So what did he do? He put himself as far away from that as he possibly could. And he did what he saw as his example, right? Yoda did it. Obi-Wan did it, right? They took themselves away from it to go reflect. And he probably went a little crazy in his isolation.
Yes.
And he needed, you know, Rey went there. She kind of brought that, you know, sanity back to him a little bit. So I can see that though, but we'll probably see that with Obi-Wan. He's going to be in some desperation. He's going to have those, you know, that we just get to see a different motivation for Obi-Wan going there. Obviously he's going to protect Luke and watch over Luke, and we can kind of understand that. And, and in that isolation, you're going to see a lot of that self-reflection and the trauma and the crazy old wizard, right?
Of course.
As Owen described him.
Yeah. You know, speaking of Owen, I do want to see a lot more scenes between Ben and Owen because, you know, we in A New Hope, you know, Owen like has all this like hatred for Ben, but you know, we don't like see it. And I know, you know, there's all like books and comics or whatever, but for like an average viewer, it doesn't really like translate well. So I feel like that would.
And I don't even know that I would call that hatred, right? I have the benefit of being a father, and I can look at that more as probably just trying to protect Luke, right? And keep him away from the guy who could potentially influence Luke to go off and turn into his father, right?
Okay,
and
yeah, all right.
He's got a lot of that history, right? He saw what Anakin did and who Anakin became, and
but I think I do know from other sources that Owen does not really like Ben that much. But you know, it's like you said, it's just Owen's just trying to protect Luke. He's, you know, but you know, I do just, you know, I want to see more scenes of, you know, Owen with Ben, and
we may get context around it. He may end up not liking Obi-Wan. Maybe there is something Obi-Wan let something bad happen to somebody else by not taking action, and you know, Owen despises him for it when he knows. I
think this is legends, but I remember there was a story where Luke and I think it was Biggs, they were like wandering in the desert, and they get like attacked by a crate dragon, and Obi-Wan has to save them, and then I think that's where Owen begins to like start to not exactly like hate him, but he like starts to think like, you're getting Luke in way too much trouble, like please stay away from him. Like, and I think that's very interesting. Like, and I would like to see some of that in the show.
Yeah.
Just because we saw that there would be child Luke, and that would be expected in a Obi Wan show taking place in this time period.
Mhm.
So yeah,
I think
I could
great.
definitely see a parallel.
it's not all gonna be Obi Wan kicking some Inquisitor ass.
No.
And
Right.
No, I can see that parallel though, because if instead of it being a crate dragon, right, Obi-Wan's drawing Inquisitors to Tatooine,
yeah,
which is endangering Luke, especially if Luke starts showing prowess with the Force. That's going to
Yeah.
draw a lot of bad attention to Luke, and I could see Owen be like, "You need to get the hell out of here."
uh-huh.
I don't want you around. You're
I
bringing,
can't fight off these Inquisitors with my hunting rifle.
right. You're
I
bringing
know
a
I
lot of
one-shotted
negative
Darth
attention
Maul
to
in a
him.
comic one time, but this is different.
Right. Yeah. That makes a lot of, I mean, that'd be a big parallel. I could definitely see that as a parallel, and why he would be angry that he's staying around.
Yeah.
You're endangering him more than you're protecting him.
It's just weird too, because I mean, like looking back at the end of Revenge of the Sith, like Bail Organa chose to adopt Leia. Like, I'm bringing this child into my family. Owen and Beru didn't exactly choose to adopt Luke, at least not in the same way. And I'm not saying there's any necessary like animosity or any like, oh, we have to deal with this kid now. Obviously, they love the kid and they're going to do the best they can with him. That's very clear in the cinematic language of the end of Revenge of the Sith. But the guy who brought the kid is just kind of hanging around, just like, a few clicks that way. It's just like, hey, how's the boy I brought you? You know what I mean? Like that's got to be some weird vibes too, just in a general sense. But also just the fact that,
why is there this strange guy up the hill staring at us every morning?
Right.
Uncle Owen, the guy with the binoculars, is back.
Right.
But also, just in the sense that, Owen and Beru probably don't know a lot of the minutia of Jedi and Sith. Like, they probably just know that, this kid who was my stepbrother showed up, had magic powers, and did some terrible things, and he claimed he was a Jedi, and now that person, whether they know that Anakin is Vader or not, someone like that is now running the galaxy, and things are getting worse for us out here because now there are stormtroopers in our thing, or now there's Inquisitors visiting us in this marketplace, or whatever images we're going to end up seeing in the show. But now things are a lot worse than they used to be, and the only person I can see to blame are the people with the laser swords, and I know you're one of them.
Right.
So I could see that leading to not necessarily justified animosity, but perceived association animosity from Owen towards Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
And
quite frankly, there's going to be a lot of animosity toward the Jedi at this time frame too. So
certainly, yeah,
especially in the Outer Rim. Because those are the very people that felt so isolated and so abandoned by the Republic in the first place.
I mean, I don't really think the Jedi were ever really loved out in the Outer Rim. So
no, I mean, they were left to be slaves even during the Republic.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
So Palpatine was doing his thing and turning the Republic's views on the Jedi, even in the core worlds, and then the Outer Rim, was here, thinking, the Jedi are useless even from the beginning. So
right.
Yeah,
and even during the height of the Empire, when crime was being stamped out in the core worlds with a heavy hand by the Empire, the Outer Rim was still being left to the Hutt's devices and all these criminal empires. So they really didn't have a lot of love for the Empire, for the Jedi, for the Republic. So I can see Owen just not really having much of a care for Obi-Wan in the least, and be like, okay, well, you dropped me this kid, you asked me to take care of him, and now I can see that. Now you're hovering around. Just like, you're trying, why don't you raise them then?
I mean, that's a valid question. It's interesting. I'm fascinated to see why that is. Obviously, we know the reason is because it needs to line up with A New Hope. But,
right.
From what we've learned in the prequels, Luke and Leia were of an age where you could very much get them into the youngling program then, and at least with having two known at the time Jedi Masters alive, like Yoda could have taken one, Obi-Wan could have taken the other, and they could have been secretly raising the Jedi. Right. Obviously, that's not the creative choice we needed to line up with A New Hope, but I'm interested to see what like the possible retcon choice, why that's not the case, explored a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, I get it from a retcon perspective too, just because Obi-Wan and Yoda would have been so heavily hunted.
Right, of course.
That if they got caught with the kids.
Yeah, Yoda and Obi-Wan are, public enemies number 1 and 2. So
valid. Yeah.
I mean, that's a big one. So
Owen Lars isn't exactly, what the Empire is looking for.
Right. Even if they found Obi-Wan on the backwater, he could just very easily be like, well, I know you hate this planet, Anakin, so you're not going to come looking for me here. It's a good place to hide.
Darth Vader doesn't like sand. Of course,
right.
And Obi-Wan's hut is on the high ground, so.
But
he thought this through before.
He did. Yeah, I mean, that's you could play that out pretty well, or play that off, I should say, pretty well. So
yeah,
and Leia was really well protected on Alderaan, although it does beg the question: why was somebody not watching over Leia? I mean,
yeah,
although she was with a royal family, I mean, she would have had a lot of protection with a royal family, royal guards and such.
I mean, it's a different element. It's hiding in plain sight. You know?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, if Sidious or Vader really found out who Leia really was, I don't think royal guards would have really done anything.
No, but to Brian's point, it was a different element hiding in plain sight. I mean, she was in the Senate, for crying out loud. She was right under Sidious's nose.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a totally different story right there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Luke carried the Skywalker name. She didn't even, she didn't carry that at all. She had no idea who she was.
Who's Skywalker?
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, she genuinely thought she was an Organa.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she knew she was adopted, but not necessarily, of any particular,
Right. Note.
Not to steal a line from another part of the franchise, but I'm pretty sure she just thought her real parents were nobodies.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, the junk traders who sold her off for drinking money.
To the royal family.
But no, you're right, because they had that conversation in Return of the Jedi. Luke and Leia did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
I'm very curious about this Inquisitor Reva that they've been introducing.
Yeah, that Inquisitor looks really cool. Who was it? I'm trying to think of who was it on TikTok that was talking about that. I think it was Darkside Divas. They're talking about it, being one of the kids from the youngling, not the youngling, but the youngling thread in Clone Wars.
Oh, nice.
She thought it might have been one of those younglings.
Oh, Katuni probably. The one
Katuni. That's it.
Yeah.
Interesting. That would be really interesting.
And potentially that Katuni got captured and turned into an Inquisitor.
I forget who are all the Inquisitors showing up, because it's like there's the Grand Inquisitor and then
the Grand Inquisitor. Who was it? Was the
fifth
brother?
Who was in Rebels? Like that's an established Inquisitor that we have seen already, as well as the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah, I always want to say the second brother, but it's the fifth brother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Reva and the Grand Inquisitor.
Okay.
I'm intrigued that Reva doesn't go by a numeric title the same way every other Inquisitor we've gone gotten to know.
Maybe
Right.
she does, and we don't know it, but
That's possible. Yeah.
It is. Or maybe she's like a really, really
just
early
like how in
on
Fallen
Inquisitor.
Order, there was Trilla, and
Yeah.
then she also had second sister, I think it was.
Yeah, I think she was
Right.
second sister.
Yeah. So
No, of course, and I'm sure they all
they
had
had names, and then they also had their titles.
Yeah.
certainly.
Yeah. It's entirely possible. And that may end up being the case. And it just may be that she's such a main character to the story that, you know, we use her name because she's so integral to the story.
Sure. I mean, you're probably right. There very likely will be both a name and a title before the series is finished. But it's interesting that they're introducing it, you know, on the marketing side, like they're introducing us to her as Riva now, as opposed to like Inquisitor title or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I find that fascinating just because it is so different. Like we didn't know Trilla was a thing. We knew there was an Inquisitor when Fallen Order was being, you know,
Right.
marketed and then eventually released. And then you discovered that in the game. So it's just, I'm curious, like, I'm sure there's a reason for it. I'm just curious to see what that will be, and the difference of why they're presenting it this way as opposed to the way they presented other Inquisitors.
Yeah, I'd be curious if she's not like one of the first and she just didn't get a name because she's not like the first sister, or you know what I mean? Because she's just like one of the first Inquisitors. You know what I mean? Period. I mean, that'd be a cool story, right? Yeah. Like you've got the Grand Inquisitor, but then she's just it, right? She was like the first one other than the Grand Inquisitor. Like he stole her and ran away, and that's it, or something along those lines, right? I don't know, but I think that would make an interesting backstory, but I'm probably way off base. She probably has a title. It's just one of those, that'd be an interesting thing, right?
I was gonna ask you guys when we just started the conversation, but we got too far in. But what do you guys think of the designs for the live action Inquisitors? Since there was the whole the Inquisitors
debate.
look so dumb,
I personally, for the fifth brother, I like the Rebels version of the look better. But I like the live action Grand Inquisitor a little bit better. So that's just my take on it. I mean, it doesn't change anything for me. It doesn't make or break anything. I think the fifth brother was a little more menacing looking in Rebels. I think he was a little cooler and more menacing looking in Rebels, but I actually like the Grand Inquisitor look a little bit better in the live action. I think he's a little more menacing looking in live action. Although I think,
said, it doesn't matter. I just thought it was funny because everyone was just collecting.
People love to get up in arms about the most minute little details, and it's like, you know what? Just let it play out and enjoy it, and just don't worry about stuff like that.
So what? A design looks weird. So what? A Lego is on the top of a home screen. It doesn't matter.
But go ahead. Sorry, I'm Brett. I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, it's just so funny because I still remember people complaining about the art style of the Clone Wars when that was first being released, and then they did it again when Rebels came out. Because it changed, and they did it less so with Resistance because fewer people were watching. But every time we get that new art style where it's not hyper realistic, yes, there's going to be that adjustment period. Sure, so. We already know those characters were really meant to look, particularly anatomically correct to begin with. A lot of the Rebels inspiration is by, Ralph McQuarrie art and the vintage line of action figures. You can see those proportions being a little bit more like the toys from the 70s and 80s. So they're not going to be the most hyper realistic look. So, I mean, sure, we had a little bit of a, real world precedent with the Powans from Revenge of the Sith, but they've been playing around with the other aliens. Like they've made Rhodians look a little different. They've certainly made Trandoshans a little bit different with proportions, both in live action and in animation. Like, yeah, it's a big universe. Like it's okay for aliens and humans to look different from one another. So, I'm just glad they gave us time to get used to it. Like they dropped that in March, gave us 2 months to get used to what this character is going to look like now. So we don't have that take up the entire conversation for the first week or 2 weeks of the show being out.
Right. There's trillions of beings, right? I mean,
exactly.
They're going to look different. We got to expect that. It's okay. And yeah, I mean, I was the same way. I remember when Rebels first came out, and I was just like, "Oh, it's a little odd." And a buddy of mine was,
"Why the lightsaber's so skinny? Oh, it's so bad."
Right. But buddy of mine was a little bit off put by Zeb too. And then I was like, and then I found the original Ralph McQuarrie artwork for Chewie, and I was like, "Dude, check it out. It's Zeb." And he was like, "Holy crap. Chewie was Zeb in the original concept art." And I said, "Yep." And he was like, that changed everything for him. And I was like, yeah, it's amazing where some of these designs and concepts and things come from. And as soon as you start to wrap your head around it a little bit, it's like, oh, well, you know what? That's really cool. And I did the same thing, I kind of did the same thing with Resistance. Hey, Shannon.
Sure.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
So, let me give me a second. I'm gonna pause the recording real quick and pull Shannon into the view.
Sure.
All right, here we go. All right, Shannon has joined the party.
Welcome aboard.
Howdy.
Hey.
Or should we say hello there?
Yes.
Hello there. Yes.
General Kenobi.
It's obligatory.
Well, we couldn't just say hey.
Hey. All right, hang on. Shannon shrunk or something. It's just your head.
It's just my head. Does this help?
There you go.
There you go.
It felt weird with just your head sitting there. Although, it is the Mos Eisley Cantina.
Accommodate patrons of many heights. It's fine.
Yes.
There, very Moss Eisley, like there, just my arm.
That's right.
There you go. You just
got the Ithorian over here. You got the Chadra fan over there. We got everybody. It's fine.
Got everybody.
Salacious be crumb.
There we go. There we go. I should play the Cantina band music in the background. But so yeah, what were we just talking about?
Talking about Rebels animation.
Yeah.
Yes.
We were on Obi Wan Kenobi and we got derailed into the Rebels animation.
Well, all the animated styles, really, but yeah, I mean, but we were leading in from that with the new look of the Grand Inquisitor in the show,
right.
which is how he appeared in Rebels. So
that's right.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot about the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah, and like I said, I think he looks pretty cool. I would like I think I would like the kind of the yellowy eyes. I think that would be kind of intimidating looking. It would be kind of cool, but again, nothing's like breaking by any means. There's just like some cool factor stuff. I think that would be fun.
It really it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
Nope.
We're still 4 years out from the start of Rebels. I mean, there's time for that character to acquire that feature. We may even see it in the show. Maybe a progression of the Grand Inquisitor over the course of the show. Who knows?
Yep. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And I remember it goes back to like some of the first shots we got of Henry Cavill with Witcher, and like his hairstyle was off from the game and people freaked out. And then by the time the first season came out,
oh no, the hair's wrong.
But they made the adjustment and it was perfect and he was spot on for it. I'm like, so, just because we see a trailer now doesn't mean that it's not something that wouldn't get, adjusted for post or something like that. And that we would, what I mean, that we'll see it. So, just because we see that in a trailer doesn't mean we won't see it. We saw that with Rogue One, right? There was all kinds of stuff in the Rogue One trailer that didn't actually make it to the final cut of the movie.
That is true.
So, I reserve judgment on a lot of those things until stuff actually comes out, and then I'm watching it, and then you end up seeing it, and it's like, oh, well, it didn't matter anyway because the show was so freaking amazing that tiny minute detail really made absolutely no difference. The character was either so good or portrayed so well, or the acting was so good that it really didn't matter, or vice versa. Sometimes the character looks so good and the acting is so poor that they didn't pull it off anyway.
What?
Oh.
Star Wars fans being focused on minute details? Never.
Right? Never.
A Lego being on the top of a home screen?
It's so many things, but I'm just thrilled. Like I said, I'm so excited for the show. I love the fact that we're going to get Inquisitors in it. I just and then all the talk of like potentially with the Rex stuff in there, and I'm a huge clone fan, so even that possibility alone is enough to like get me excited. So
Yeah.
I'm just thrilled to death at even that possibility, even if it doesn't
I
happen.
really hope we get Liam Neeson back as Qui-Gon.
That would be great.
I really want to see Obi-Wan try to communicate with Qui-Gon's spirit.
Yeah, even if we just get his voice.
Wasn't there a quote from
Yeah,
Liam
because,
Neeson saying that he didn't want to do TV acting? He wanted to do kind of big screen acting.
Yeah, there was that quote saying he was like something about he was a bit of a snob about it.
Yeah.
But there was not like a full denial that he wouldn't do TV, that he's snob about TV and he prefers doing big screen.
And he did return for the Mortis episode of Clone Wars, so there's hope.
There is the technicality that he said that after he may have already shot Obi Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
So he may have already done that and be like, well, I may return again if it's for a movie. Just throwing that out there.
Yep.
Super technicality. Willing to admit that, but just saying.
Yeah. They love to do stuff like that. I mean, I've been laughing at
Technically, it was only voice acting, not physical acting.
I love the technicalities that they do. I love the Oscar Isaac, singing the hippopotamus thing, and then
oh yeah.
So they love their little things, There's all kinds of little lots and lots of little things that they like to throw out there, and then you get your surprise with it. So I would love it. I think that would be amazing to see Liam Neeson be in it. And if he's not, then maybe that's the call out that there's another movie that he's in. That would thrill me to death too.
Yeah.
Like a Qui-Gon reprise, that would be amazing.
It would be. I think Qui-Gon is definitely one of my favorite Jedi, so I would kill to see that.
Yep. He's up there with Ahsoka for me as like one of my favorite Jedi. I love those principled Jedi, those ones that are just like, okay, well, council be damned, just do the right thing because it's the right thing to do types of Jedi. And I love those types of Jedi.
Yeah, the type of like nuanced, more like not by the code, more of like what's by like morally right.
Yeah,
exactly. Love them. And yeah, Qui-Gon was great. I mean, you couldn't have had a more perfect opening scene between two Jedi than Phantom Menace, between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, with the two of them with their banter going back and forth about, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just the lesson Obi-Wan's being taught. And I'm like, how do you get such a great Jedi that you get out of Obi-Wan than to have that master that he's got in Qui-Gon?
Because at
and
that
the balance
point,
between Qui-Gon and Yoda, and you get Obi-Wan out of that. I was like, they did such a good job philosophically to have Qui-Gon being his master for his training, and then Yoda to be kind of like the one that's almost a peer to him, you know what I mean, as a knight, and into his mastery. I think they nailed that for the prequels for Obi-Wan.
And I know technically, Obi-Wan said in the originals that, Yoda was the Jedi who taught me, but I'm really, glad that Qui-Gon is a Jedi, but no.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But Yoda taught him a lot too.
Yoda
when you look at his knighthood through his mastery, that really was Yoda.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yoda,
he probably taught him lightsaber class when he was a youngling or something. Yep. So, what Obi-Wan said was true from a certain point of view.
That nuance. Obi-Wan was the great deceiver. Obi-Wan and his half-truths.
Why didn't you tell me?
He loved his little half-truths. But then there was always Yoda too. Yoda was great about stuff like that. Always those are the Yoda moments, right? It was always leading people into discovering the answers for themselves.
He was old and wise and always spoke in riddles.
Yep. But yeah. What about you, Shannon? What are you excited about with the Obi-Wan show? We've been talking for like a half hour, so
I don't know. Part of me is like, I'm just kind of going into it with like almost no expectation. Like, I just want to see Obi-Wan and I want to see Hayden Christensen portraying Darth Vader. That's all the kind of standard I'm setting, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't want to set any expectations and then like, have issues with that later. But
that's fair.
Did you guys see that? I think Hayden Christensen, in preparation for Obi-Wan, watched the Clone Wars TV show.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, I saw a tweet that was like, Hayden Christensen knows who Hondo Ohnaka is, and I thought that was really funny.
That's awesome.
That's the important takeaway. He knows who Hondo is.
I mean,
that is an important takeaway. Hondo is
daughter to Galaxy's Edge. He's got to know who Hondo is.
Oh my God, it's happening! All right, stay calm.
Hondo's an important character.
He's at Disney World, guys.
through Clone Wars and Rebels, Hondo is an important character, though. He's got there's a lot of influence from Hondo in there. And especially as a villain / pseudo good guy.
The capitalist, if you will.
Yeah, he really is. He really is. He's almost the best kind too.
That's gotta be the best pirate I've ever seen.
A great opportunist. I love that about Hondo. He really is a great opportunist. The downside is he probably would sell his mother for the right deal. He's not exactly what you'd call a philanthropist.
No.
But there are moments, though, that he has where
he was successful,
where his loyalty will come out.
And
that's one of the things I liked about Hondo is that when it really came down to it, Hondo would be loyal.
Yeah.
He really would. He would, with Anakin, with Obi-Wan, with Ezra, with those people that were willing to stick their neck out for him, he would actually be loyal to them.
He had
when it all came out in the wash.
Yeah.
He'd pretend like he wasn't because that was part of his identity, but I'll be damned if he wouldn't be loyal to him. He'd still try to make a buck off of it, but he would be loyal to him. I loved that about Hondo. He was great.
And, even with his crew, I mean, he looked out for it.
He did.
Like with when Maul and Savage, took over and took half of his crew, he could have very well killed the rest of them, but instead, he's like, hey, we got big guns now, let's go and kill them and then take all their money,
Yep. Oh yeah, he always would use money as kind of that his motivation, even if it wasn't his motivation, right? He had to keep up the appearance of it.
Yeah,
it was that was Hondo's shtick. He cracked me up. He always cracked me up. He was a good character. It was a really well written character. I liked him.
Yeah.
Filoni had some really good characters that he does. Just well done. And
yeah. Hey Dave, when we get in the Hondo series?
With all the things they're putting out, I really wouldn't put it past it.
Right?
Yeah. What are we getting? We're getting Andor, Lando.
I'm telling you, I am thrilled for Andor, just if nothing else, for a spy story in Star Wars. That alone is just that should be fun.
Mm.
Just that thriller type of thing. I mean, we get, Kenobi to me is going to be great from the aspect of, I think it's going to be almost space westerny, although I think Book of Boba Fett might have kind of half covered that too.
I mean, even parts of Mandalorian too.
Yeah.
A lot of recent Star Wars has been space western.
Yeah.
At least the visual parts of it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I bought a cowboy hat after watching Book of Boba Fett just because I really love like that Western vibe.
Yep. Yeah, it's covering so many genres now. It's
Dave
awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm loving
Cad
the
Bane
fact
is
that
a
we're getting
cowboy.
all of that. I mean, we got freaking like classic gunfight between Boba Fett.
I'm very disappointed that Cad Bane didn't say yeehaw at least once.
Or Boba when he was riding the Rancor. Come on now. That, by the way,
I'm so sad they didn't
my
play
favorite
classic
scene
Western
now
music
in
when
Star
Cobb Vanth and
Wars.
Cad Bane were doing their shootout.
Ever since I read
A
about
tumbleweed just rolls past, and they.
it just made me happy. I'm so excited to have all those, and Acolyte's another one of those ones because we're gonna get live action High Republic era with Acolyte, so kind of tail end High Republic, but we're supposed to, that's another exciting one for me. So we're getting all kinds of stuff.
Gotta start reading the High Republic.
It's so worth it. Oh, it's so good.
It's not that I don't want to, I just haven't had the accessibility to the book.
Stupid background. Can't see it. It's Light of the Jedi, dang it. I failed.
But I know they're releasing the new phase of books or whatever, so
yeah,
I gotta catch up.
Yeah, honestly, the audiobooks are really good if you're having trouble starting. The audiobooks are amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I know there's comics too and whatnot, but I'll try and start with just the novels.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on the young adult ones though. I've actually enjoyed the young adult novels a little bit more than the mainline novels so far. I'm just getting started. I'm only on early parts of the Rising Storm right now, but I did the first 3, and the young adult novel was easily my favorite so far. So,
nice.
Yeah.
I would have, and I honestly, because I hadn't read a young adult novel in decades, and but I read Ahsoka, and I've had a chance to talk to E.K. Johnston a little bit, and it was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a chance, and I'm glad I did, because they're a lot better than they were when I was that age. Now content wise, they're so much better now, so I'm glad I gave them a chance, and I've picked them up from High Republic, read Queen's Peril, about to read Queen's Shadow, because my daughter's home now and she brought the book back, so I can actually read that. So yeah, I'm definitely reading those now. They are part of my Star Wars repertoire as far as the new canon stuff. Old canon, not so much, but new canon, yes.
Right.
Because the old canon, the young adults, you had to read 47 of them to actually get one book's worth of content.
I mean, I'm a dyed-in-the-wool young Jedi Knights fan for life, but I feel you. I feel you.
Awesome. Well, what else you got, Shannon? Like I said, you were late to the game. Come on now.
But not spot.
I'm gonna pick on you.
We're seeing young Luke, right?
Yeah.
Do we know if we're seeing young Leia? Is that that's not confirmed, is it?
I haven't seen anything about that.
No, yeah. I guess I wasn't sure if there was anything that I didn't know about, but we're seeing young Luke. Maybe we'll see young Leia. I don't know. I have a feeling that we might, but
I'm hoping so.
I'm really excited that we're gonna see baby Luke.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get to see young Leia. I'm hoping we're getting some kind of Finn-Ray misdirection, and that we're going to get some young Leia thrown in the mix too. You know.
Yeah, maybe some business on Alderaan. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they definitely threw some off-world stuff at us in the trailer. So, and we've not seen anything Alderaan.
So I know
all.
Jimmy Smith said he was coming back as Bail. So
Yeah.
young Leia might be a very high possibility.
Yeah, and I would love to see Alderaan. I mean, outside of a video game, I would love to see Alderaan.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have we ever seen Alderaan outside of like games?
No, not outside of games.
We saw briefly a little bit in Revenge of the Sith, and then
right.
Yeah,
right. But then we saw a lot of Asteroid Field in A New Hope.
Yeah.
I'd say too soon, but it's 45 years old. But
it's been a long time in a galaxy far, far away.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah, we did get that tiny little bit. You're right, in Revenge of the Sith, but
but not much to go on.
But yeah, we got plenty in the Old Republic video game, because you can actually go there and play in the game. But other than that.
I mean, obviously, like the books and stuff, like Leia, Princess of Alderaan, it's set on Alderaan, but you don't get a visual representation.
Yeah, and it's in the game you get beautiful visual representation. It's a beautiful, beautiful planet. So
I always just imagined Alderaan as just Earth. So
but game wise, it's so mountainous and just it's just
I remember wasn't Alderaan the location of one of the Old Republic cinematic trailers?
Yeah, it's just like it's very alpine like Earth, but
like
very very pretty.
Yeah. So maybe we can see more of it before it gets turned to asteroids.
Yeah. It's very typical Star Wars, right? It's taking an entire planet and having it dominated by one central geographic theme.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't have a planet with multiple regions in it. Just one.
Like all mountain, all
sand,
all forest, all sand,
all forest, all city.
Everyone's like, why does Obi Wan age so fast? I'm like, he's on Tatooine. He doesn't have any sunscreen. Obviously,
he doesn't have any aging cream.
It's got 2 suns.
You try getting sandblasted for 19 years and see how good you look.
All that stress is getting to him, man.
That too.
Right? Yeah.
Deal with Anakin Skywalker for that long and see what happens.
Right? That's a
desert
planet with
2 Skywalkers alive and see how that does to you.
Right? You're protecting a child from the entire galactic empire on a desert planet with 2 suns. That's some city miles right there.
I lost you at trying to keep a child alive.
You're gonna age real quick like that. Good Lord.
Oh, wait,
I was in my early 20s married, and I got gray hairs. They went away after that relationship was over. I can tell you about that. Stress will do that to you. So I can relate to Obi-Wan.
Yeah, we're gonna see him turn into Alec Guinness live on TV.
Yeah, and it's not like Tatooine's a hospitable place, right? I mean, he's living in a little clay hut with big dragons that are trying to eat him, and Tusken Raiders that are probably trying to kill him,
and now Inquisitors coming after him.
Right? That's gonna age you fast, whether you're connected to the Force or not.
He's gonna age mid-battle.
Well, look at Palpatine. He got wrinkled pretty quick.
Obi-Wan, he's back somehow.
Is that how he became so old? Palpatine just came to Tatooine and just lightninged him.
That's what it was. Maybe we'll see that, right? Maybe Obi-Wan catches a little bit of lightning from an Inquisitor.
Help me, Luke! Help me!
takes a
we'll-
detour right through the world between worlds for a little while.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm very intrigued with that, like, because this is interestingly, one of the few live action shows that's coming out that's not directly tied in, so far as we can see, through the Favreau Filoni timeline that's being like laid out, because they described that, like, Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and all these most of these other shows are going to end up intertwining, into a collective Avengers-like story at some point down the line. So it's interesting now that we have, after getting 2 live actions out of the gate, that they're diverging from Obi-Wan. Obviously, everything fits into the bigger tapestry of Star Wars. But I'm curious, since, Obi-Wan was a character Filoni worked with for so many years on Clone Wars, if we're going to end up seeing aspects of this show, like, leaking into that, like, intertwined story later on or not, like if they're going to be planting seeds for that here. It's already outside chronologically because we've been moving, forward from basically 5 ABY with Mandalorian. And, as far as time goes, Book of Boba Fett is set after season 2 of Mandalorian, before season 3 of Mandalorian.
Do we know what the next show after Obi-Wan is supposed to be? Is it
It's
Ahsoka.
Live action, it's supposed to be Andor later this year, but we don't have dates.
I thought it was supposed to be Ahsoka, but you're right.
Ahsoka, I think Ahsoka either started filming or it is going to start filming soon, but I don't believe it's fully in the can yet. Andor is either being shot or has finished shooting. I believe it's finished. I think it's in post right now.
Gotcha.
I mean, we are getting Bad Batch at some point this year. I mean, obviously, we're going to know a lot more come Celebration.
Yeah.
They're going to make all their big announcements. But
I thought, because I heard that Bad Batch got pushed to next year.
No, I think it was later this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they push it to later on. I mean, it came out on May the 4th last year, but obviously this year they finally have some of the live actions to kick out. So it's going to be interesting to see, because there's only so many weeks. Like, once Kenobi's done, we're into June. You only have just over half of the year left. So that's only about 26 Wednesdays, you know. Andor is going to be a good chunk of them. Bad Batch is, in theory, a big chunk of them. Like, and then obviously they're competing with Marvel shows on Disney Plus. So, like, the overlap is going to become a really interesting thing to contend with,
Yeah, I love Bad Batch, so I'm just sitting here like tense about like hearing Bad Batch news.
I like Bad Batch a lot more than I thought I was
need to
going
see my copy paste boys.
Yeah, same. I ended up liking Bad Batch a lot more than I thought I would.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like, I saw the arc.
People that are just like, it's too repetitive.
It's season 1.
Yeah, like
any
Clone
Filoni
Wars
show
didn't
in
have that
season
exact
1 is
same
going to be a
problem
little,
with season 1.
Yeah. Season 1 of most shows ends up being a little, because they want to set the tone. So they end up being a little redundant on purpose,
Yeah, like, Clone Wars season 1, like, as good as Clone Wars is, season 1 is easily the worst season. Like,
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of shows. The weakest one is the one where you're setting the foundation,
So, I'm sorry if you think that Bad Batch has a rough start, but it's going to get better. So, just...
I love the Bad Batch.
I honestly just wasn't that excited about the idea of Bad Batch, just based on those characters never really grabbed me a whole lot, both from the season 7 appearance and the story arc version of those 4 episodes that was released beforehand. Like, it was cute. It seemed like a fun idea for like a one-shot kind of thing. And then I was like, why are these characters getting their own series? But the fact that they've molded it into this, we're showing you the way the propaganda machine works for the galaxy, to have this near instantaneous change from Republic to Empire make seamless, perfect sense. And through the lens of these clones who, even just in the greater scheme of clones in general, which was explored a little in season 1, completely changing to you're obsolete, and just watching that reconciliation going on through these characters while they're, trying to figure out where their allegiance lies. I found that way more interesting than I ever thought I was going to. I literally thought it was just going to be them kind of like going off doing little side quest adventures and gigging a little bit, kind of like season 1 of Rebels, which had that like Firefly, let's just find a job kind of vibe to it. And no, they're taking it in a very different direction, and I am absolutely here for it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just adding more to the universe instead of just like these little side quests in the universe and like for the purpose of just giving content for no reason. It's like actually adding to the experience.
It's true.
Yep. Yeah, it is. And it's doing so much too. And it's enhancing, again, further humanizing and enhancing the clones, which again, I love, right? Because with Attack of the Clones, all you really got was clones as basically just fleshy droids, right? I mean, that's really all you saw of them. And then through the Clone Wars, you got to see them as real human beings. And then with Bad Batch, now they're not just copy paste. They're all different. They're all unique, and you get to see it physically, not just personality wise, but they're all different in their own way too, uniquely and physically. So, and emotionally, and all these other elements about them. And you throw in Omega with it, and it's just like, because she's one of them. And it's just like, it changes the whole game. And so, yeah, I love Bad Batch. And you add all the other elements of the galaxy at large and them finding their way in it. And it's just like, oh, this is amazing. This took a lot of the elements that I love from the Republic Commando novels and throws it into new canon. And it's just like, I love this. I'm totally on board with it myself. So yeah.
Plus that Disney money looks good on that art style.
Yeah.
I mean, really, we got that little like upgrade of their art style for just a couple of episodes of the last season of Clone Wars. And man, you're like, wow, this looks so stunningly beautiful. Why was the whole show not like this?
Yep.
Disney budget. But now we get
to be out that Disney money, but on the Son of Dathomir arc. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And I get to have fun with it and have all the throwback of Hunter being Rambo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my favorite part is Hunter just being absolutely a dad.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Starting to realize I love Star Wars characters that are just dads, like the Mandalorian too, and everything like that.
Yep.
It's great. They're doing such a great job with the franchise as a whole, and I love the characters and the way they're developing. It's so much fun.
Yeah, and I want to see how Obi Wan kind of deals with the aftermath of Order 66 in this. I think that he's going to do like a lot of good character development to get like where he is now, and I hope that we see, I hate to say it, but I hope that we see like a lot of his pain. I hope that we can see like how like reflective it is in the aftermath of what happened.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because I think we've gotten kind of like repressed Obi-Wan for a little while, right? He's just kind of had to shove all that down. And now he's going to have to deal with it.
Okay, Obi-Wan, just let it out. Just cry for a little bit. We're here for you, buddy.
But I don't know he's going to get a lot of time for that either. I mean, with the Inquisitors at the moment and protecting Luke, right? We're going to have to deal with that for a little bit. And so I think we're all going to have to deal with the kind of the heartbreak of that and looking at it and going, man, we just want Obi-Wan to have a chance to heal, and he's going to have to deal with all this crap. And to your point, Brian, I am really curious too, now that you mentioned that with the Filoni stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We had Lothal as kind of like a nexus of the Force as a planet, but there's so much Tatooine with Star Wars that it makes you wonder if Tatooine doesn't turn into potentially another one of those places, right? So
it's possible.
Does Obi-Wan discover something on Tatooine that is almost Lothal-like?
That'd be interesting. I mean, it would help justify why so many stories take place on Tatooine for sure.
Right?
It's supposed to be this tiny backwater world, and I know more about that than I do about most of the core.
Right? Exactly. So, yeah. Why does the Force keep drawing people there?
That would definitely be interesting for sure.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe he discovers something about how or why Anakin happened there.
That's It's possible too. Yeah, I mean, especially since you're bringing, Hayden back, and Vader is going to be at least a semi-prominent part of this story. I'm so fascinated with that, that possibility.
Right. And maybe that'll help tie like Rebels to Mandalorian, right? Bridge that gap in that time frame.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you could potentially start tying all those pieces together.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I hope they do. That would be awesome.
It really would.
Yeah.
Also, since we're talking about bringing in like Hayden for, Anakin and Vader, like I'm intrigued how much of the show is actually going to be told in flashback, because we've talked about de-aging Hayden. So we know that's coming at some point, whether it be, hopefully live action versions of them like in the armor for Clone Wars or something, or even if it's just like insert shots of like what could have been happening around like Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith, and just like, insert scenes of stuff we just never saw in the films. But I think it'd be really fun to just see how much of the show is going to be, present day, I guess, versus how much of it's going to be flashback. Like, is it going to be like Boba Fett, where they kind of had the Arrow approach of flashbacks being very prominent in almost every episode,
Right.
Or is it just going to be
lay
like
down on his bed and then have flashbacks for the majority of the episodes?
Yeah.
It's
interesting.
It is.
Yeah. I wonder, do you guys know about the like Brotherhood book that's coming out? I think it's like Obi Wan and Anakin. It's coming out on like May 10th. I wonder if that's going to have like any like details that were missing from that story. I wonder if it's going to have any like details that would be important for considering like what's happening in Obi Wan.
That could be a possibility. Yeah.
I would not be surprised, especially with the release date and them pushing Obi Wan back like a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the pushback is more for celebration than anything else.
That's true.
That's my guess, because they're going to have a panel.
They push it back like 2 days. Like,
I was gonna say, I think they took it from Wednesday.
That's right. They went
Friday.
from the 25th to the 27th, so it was
right. And for anyone going to the convention, the 25th would be like their travel day to get to Anaheim.
That's right.
Which is a lot on somebody to say, hey, you wake up, either at midnight or 3 a.m. or wherever, whatever time zone you're in. Watch this and then go travel cross country or, over an ocean or wherever you're coming from to get to Anaheim, and then go to the convention. I just feel like I totally get the move. Like, it takes the wind out of their sails when it's like, yeah, we could hold this for 2 days, have a like a really cool, panel at our convention, show the episode or 2 episodes now to you guys so you can have the cloud of watching it early, or we can keep our main model right now and be like, hey, you're all really tired, but you all saw the thing on Disney Plus, right? Okay. Some of you didn't, but we're going to talk about it, I guess. And it just, I get it. I totally get it. I mean, Celebration is a hype machine for the latest Star Wars movie project usually anyway. Like, most of them came out during a prequel or sequel year. And then there were a couple that were, offshoots of different years. But like, that's what Celebration is for. So it makes sense,
Yeah, every one of them I've been to has been on a movie year. So
yeah. And I appreciate that they kept it going in the years there weren't like active projects going. Like, obviously, like, it's still a convention, like it's still like a fun time, and it was great seeing my friends go and all that stuff. But like, the heart of Celebration is to hype the big project coming out that year. So like, it's just where it's at. So which is fine. We all know that's what it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting spoiled for new content, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see what comes of that. But to your point about Brotherhood, though, I do think like it's probably going to enhance the experience of watching Obi-Wan a lot. I think it'll be very similar to like Easter eggy kind of things they've done in the past. I mean, I hope it's more than that, because that'd be really cool as a fan to experience like some really cool, profound thing. But even if it's just something small, like like when Battlefield 2 came out and there was that campaign, and like you meet Luke and Luke is finding this compass, and then you see the compass is on his it's in his cabin on Octo in Last Jedi. And that's still really cool. It doesn't impact the plot in any way, but it's a nice little Easter egg. But it'd be really cool if Brotherhood actually gave you some more like, not to use a TikTok phrase, but emotional damage when watching Obi Wan Kenobi.
I'm with you on that one. That would be good.
Yeah, Kenobi's going to be a lot of emotional damage. I'd be willing to bet.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it is, I'm sure.
Yeah, I can't count on my hands how many times I've absolutely cried and like wept to Star Wars. I remember watching Revenge of the Sith and crying that entire night and then crying the next morning. And it's funny because I actually watched the entire Star Wars series with my ex, and he said that his favorite part of watching Star Wars with me was watching Revenge of the Sith and me crying, because then he knew that I really liked Star Wars and that I really felt strongly about it. Okay. So I can only imagine how I'm going to feel during Kenobi. I might just be a mess. Like, you might just have to leave me alone for that entire week. Or like call my therapist. Let someone know. Call my mom, you know?
I can understand that. That's that was the Kanan and the Rebels for me. And oh god, don't even get me started on season 7 of Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me get Mason back here.
Yeah, I have no idea what happened.
The interwebs got you. All right, we're back.
Yeah.
We're alive again.
Yay.
Brian needs his towel back to clean up the counter.
Oh yeah, that's right. I never got my bar rag.
You didn't get your bar rag.
Oh man.
Go back to my bad puns and my solo cup.
Just gonna wipe down the glassware back here. Don't mind me, guys.
Ah, there we go. Oh man, and now my brain just completely went blank. What was the bartender's name in A New Hope?
Wooher.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to say Willem for some reason.
Like the Scream. Yeah, no, that's all good.
Yeah,
both are Star Wars connected.
Yep. I have not read the Tales from Mos Eisley Cantina in a while. Got the book downstairs too. It was such a fun. That was a fun collection of short stories, though.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't read it, it's a lot of fun because it just kind of talks about all the events around the cantina scene from the perspective of different characters in the cantina when it happens. And it's a lot of fun.
Have anyone of you guys read the Certain Point of View novels that came out for A New Hope?
I have both of them.
I have.
Nice. Okay, well, you will appreciate that because there is a good 10 chapters where it basically becomes the canon version of Tales from Mos Eisley Cantina.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Well, because the thrust of it is it's telling the story of A New Hope through the eyes of all these little side characters, essentially.
Oh, okay.
And then they do it again with Empire Strikes
and they're all in the order of the plot. So, the first one is, the Tantive before, then it's the gunners who are watching the escape pod and whatever.
Doesn't that
And so
book
when they get to the
Park and K?
Yeah. So then when they get to the end of Act 1, beginning of Act 2, there is a good at least 8 or 9 chapters that are all in the cantina or cantina adjacent. So there's one for the modal nodes, there's one for Wooher, and a few other aliens that are out too. So, but I was definitely at the point where I was 5 or 6 in, and I was like, this just turned into Tales of the Mos Eisley Cantina for a good fourth of the book.
That's awesome. I loved that book because to me that was just so much fun. The modal nodes and just getting all those stories from all the different perspectives, and that was it. Just I don't know, because it's such an iconic scene from the movie.
Sure.
And to have all those different perspectives, and I mean every Star Wars movie basically has their version of that scene. Of the cantina scene. I mean, it's in so many, and it's not even just
let's go back to your drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's not just that scene. I mean, the Book of Boba Fett. I mean, Chrysanthemum rips off the arm of the Trandoshan, and then everybody goes back to their drinks. I mean, it's so ubiquitous in Star Wars.
I'm very curious to think what the other perspectives of the other cantina scenes are.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, I absolutely love that. But now I want to read it again. But yeah, I'm gonna have to read that from a certain point of view. That's I remember reading something about it and was like, oh, I need to read that, and then I forgot about the book.
Honestly, if you like the Tales books from Legends, these are your jam because it's the same basic idea. Because it's all short stories and it's all by different authors, which is really cool. I appreciate that part very much. But they're fun. They're fun. They're a little bit of a mixed bag, but they're fun. You know, like there are some tales that are going to be for you and some that are not going to be for you. But you know, regardless, it's a fun read.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's like the Lando book too, the Lando Calrissian with like the 3 short stories in it. That was good. That was fun because then watching Solo and then hearing Lando talking in it, and then he's referencing those stories from that book, and I'm like, oh hey, that's fun. That's just like fun little Easter eggs because he's not really talking about those adventures in detail, but you're getting little bits and pieces of it, and it's like, hey, I remember those stories. Those were fun too. So I love that kind of stuff because it's just like because it brings those little memories back, and it's just like, oh, that was just fun to read those. They don't even have to be that great of a story, but they were just fun to read.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just kind of capping. I'm sorry. You go ahead.
I wonder if we're going to see anything with the Cantina in it with Kenobi.
Oh.
I certainly hope so.
He just chops people's arms off regularly, and that's why no one acted weird.
Yeah, it kind of seems like a hub for like, you know.
Because, you know, he just casually pulled out a lightsaber and chopped someone's arm off. You know, nobody cared.
Yeah.
Oh no, they did. Remember, somebody took an interest in your handiwork.
Yeah.
I certainly hope so because like the Mos Eisley Cantina is a place, and Obi-Wan clearly knew you'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. So he knew what was going on in that place. That wasn't
true.
It wasn't Mos Espa. It wasn't Mos Entha. That was Mos Eisley. That was a very specific city for that.
Yeah. And they probably, I mean, depending on like the timelines of like when this shot versus when Book of Boba Fett shot, like they had some practical sets built for Boba Fett. So they probably were able to reuse a lot of those pieces for Obi-Wan, you know, which probably just makes it a lot easier for them to say, of course, we'll set some of this in Mos Eisley. So that might be really, really fun if they get to go down that route and kind of have those moments of Obi-Wan actually there before he, you know, walks the streets in A New Hope. It'd be so fun. I hadn't thought of that. Really, that's so cool.
I hope they bring back small things too into canon, like the Dowager Queen, the shipwreck.
Okay.
And things like that. Just those little things, because those are just like they're like little iconic pieces that are they're not important to the story overall, but would just be fun to have back into canon that were taken out. That, you know, they've been so good about bringing little things back. That I would have a blast with that, just to see that. And where was that shipwreck? Was that Mos Espa that was? I can't remember now. I'd have to go dig that back up, but I think it was Mos Espa. But they had the big shipwreck right in the middle of the city. The Dowager Queen's ship was just like wrecked in the middle of the city, and it was like a landmark in the city. And I was like, I could just see that being kind of like part of it, and them bringing that back into canon. But it was in one of the books, and it was just like it became a thing, and you could see it in video games and stuff like that. And it just was this like iconic part of the city. I was like, I'd love to see something like that come back, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Just there's so many cool things, just so many really cool things that the EU itself had built up, because it just built up so much that, you know, that Dave and everybody who's been part of the Disney version has done such a great job of painstakingly bringing back pieces of Legends.